Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on high-performance computing and cloud computing. Today, my guest is from Riverbed. We have Nick Rouda. Nick is Director of Solutions and Verticals of Marketing at Riverbed Technologies. So, welcome to the show, Nick.
Thank you. Very happy to be here today.
Well, Nick, you know, this is kind of part two. We had a presentation a couple weeks ago by Costin, and I thought we'd follow up and see what's new with you guys. So I have your slides up. Why don't we start with that?
Okay, great. Well, today's topic is going to be looking at high-performance hybrid clouds, and we're going to look at a number of issues facing customers out in the world and some of the ways Riverbed can help. So if we move to my first slide, I think it's worth starting with what are the basic objectives that are driving people towards a hybrid cloud model. And they kind of fall in four areas based on my experience with industry, with customers, with other technology vendors. And those fall under executive mandates with somebody saying we need a cloud to be competitive. What's our cloud strategy? Or they could fit under operating efficiency, where they want to move away from throwing money at administration and capacity. They don't see that as a scalable approach anymore. Or it could be around a linked need to reduce their capital costs and outlay right now. They want to provision only what they really need when they need it, rather than being trapped in the cycle of over-consuming and then hoping they get more budget before they run out of space. And then that all leads to this sort of virtuous cycle of greater business agility, and how can they get to market faster, how can they keep flexibility in their organization as they go. So if we move forward a little bit at that, you can see where Riverbed fits in this environment is really around helping customers build an IT performance roadmap for their hybrid cloud environment. And there's some specific value propositions we have for customers that resonate very well around giving them more architectural flexibility. Again, that's the concept of putting things where it makes sense for the customer in a private environment or in a public cloud, but giving them the freedom of choice there, really. Could be around network optimization as there's more demand and load on their networks as a lot of resources move further away into a cloud environment. How do they still deliver those efficiently to their end users everywhere? It could be around accelerating migration and helping them actually physically or across the networks transport that data to its new home, and how do we actually help discover what needs to move? How do we manage that migration? How do we make sure it goes quickly and smoothly? It could be around business SLA reporting. How do we show the value? How do we show the quality of the services we're delivering down this cloud environment? And a subset of that may be specifically performance management, that this has had a positive impact on the business, that the applications and resources that the business needs to run from an IT perspective are running very smoothly now. And again, part of that is around high availability, business continuity, disaster recovery, and data protection. So Riverbed all contributes to these different areas of building the IT performance roadmap for a customer to build their cloud environment. And if we move to the next slide, I think really the core piece to see here is that the environments are changing a little bit. You can look at a traditional environment where you have connectivity across a wide area network from a primary data center out to major offices or DR sites, out to branch offices, out to mobile workers on the road, or people working from home locations. And that's been a very traditional model of how IT has been served. But if we build up this slide, you can see with the introduction of public cloud services, whether that's software as a service, platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service, regardless of which service providers they use there for their cloud, there's a different connectivity, and there's perhaps even more distance to be overcome in connecting now across public internet as much as private WAN for people to have access to their applications and their data and their resources. If you advance a little further, you can see, in fact, even the access routes are changing a little bit. Sometimes people now have direct access over the public internet, or maybe that's blocked and backhauled, but how do they manage, again, that connectivity? And finally, with this slide, we're really trying to show Riverbed is squarely positioned to solve the performance problem for all different types of clouds, public, private, hybrid, all different types of locations across an enterprise, and all different types of connections. And that's really our core strength. And it's what differentiates us from other offerings on the market, is how comprehensive an approach we take to addressing this issue of cloud performance. If we move to the next slide, you can see here, Riverbed has a pretty clear method we like to bring here. There's a lot of confusion in the market about how do I actually go about implementing cloud. It all sounds good, but tell me, how do I physically get there? And we really kind of see this in three phases. The first one being strategic planning, helping customers define their vision of cloud, understanding what they mean when they say they want to move to a cloud environment, helping them identify what barriers there are and what opportunities there are to get more by moving to this cloud mix. And really it comes down to understanding, discovery, dependency mapping, figuring out what's underutilized, what's going to have rapid growth, what really fits which environments. The second phase is around flawless execution, helping them deploy that network optimization that's going to give them the performance they need, using quality of service to prioritize connections, being able to migrate the data and the applications to its new home, being able to monitor and manage that performance before, during, and after a migration to a cloud computing model. The third phase is really around seamless delivery, being able to maintain full business continuity, uninterrupted operations, reporting back on the SLAs and delivery, and planning for future growth and future changes, because this isn't a one-time activity. It's really an evolution that will be ongoing over the next decade for many customers. If we move to the next slide, you can see a lot of customers like to begin with just looking at where does IT live today. And most of it's in their private infrastructure, data centers, branch offices, mobile workers or home environments, with some limited use of SaaS applications. And with the build here, it's really the emphasis that they're already using some cloud with most companies. It may not be the mix they want, and they may feel like they're trapped into that approach because the architecture was really dictated by limitations around distance and performance. That can be network bandwidth, it could be high latency, it could be just trying to put things as close as possible to end users. But the reality is, if you build here, that ends up with an environment where often they have too much IT in remote branches and only a few business unit run SaaS applications. And overall, it's an environment that's very difficult, expensive, and unscalable. So that's where customers largely are today. But with their planning, if you advance to the next slide, you can change that picture, and the customer can go back to the whiteboard and think, in a perfect world, where would I put things for the right blend of cost and performance and security and accessibility? And with the build, you can see that when done right here, this hybrid cloud model is addressing all those issues. It's giving them a better platform, lower cost, and more scalable approach. And that's really, again, a blend in these hybrid environments. With most customers, 70% is what I've seen, saying they really want a hybrid environment, a mix of your centralized, standardized private cloud, some integrated, well-chosen public cloud services, but they want to build an overall architecture and environment that gives them an efficient, high-performance hybrid cloud approach, best things in the best locations for the best reasons. And Riverbed, again, solves that. If you advance one slide here to some of the performance challenges, why is there a need for thinking about performance in cloud environments? A lot of people start with security in their mind. They want to know, is it safe? Well, the truth is, security is a problem that's actually fairly easily addressed. Encryption works. Cloud service providers recognize that's table stakes for participation. But performance becomes the real bear to solve as customers try to move to cloud en masse. And that can be issues around visibility into their environment. What are the dependencies and the bottlenecks, and how is it delivered? Could be issues around distance. How far away are IT resources now hosted? Are workers far away from the data centers in their branch locations? Or are the cloud providers a good distance away in their few regional locations? So where's the cloud physically located? There's the data problem with different types of data, storage, computing, website, different applications, and how efficient are these in these environments, and how do we address that efficiency? And then the access problem. How is traffic actually routed? How do people get to it? Maybe there's a scenario where somebody in New York needs to have his data actually travel to California and then back to New York again for security or network reasons, but how do we deliver performance in that environment? So if we advance here, what Riverbed's really built is a very comprehensive approach, and this is, again, something that really differentiates us from anyone else on the market, is we have the broadest range of tools of addressing this underlying issue of cloud performance. And I'll go through the acronyms here. Network Performance Management, which is the visibility and the ability to troubleshoot performance issues. WAN Optimization Controllers, to be able to optimize those network links, give the best possible performance and reduce bandwidth requirements. quality of service to prioritize traffic, put real-time applications and critical activities ahead of other traffic which maybe isn't important to the business. We've more recently added the ability to do application delivery controllers and web content optimization. So we're now looking not just at the networks and application protocols, but we're also looking at the content itself and how do we manage the servers and the build-out of those web-based applications or tools like Microsoft SharePoint, for example, wherever the customer wants to host it in their public or private environment. So if we advance here, Riverbed really has 5 product lines today that are relevant, and I'm just going to do a quick introduction of each, but I'd love it if people would come to riverbed.com to learn more about each of these. The first one I want to introduce is Cascade, and that's our enterprise-wide performance monitoring solution. It's going to help you solve those performance problems faster. It's going to give you the executive dashboard view, and it's going to help with the consolidation by finding what resources are out there and which are good candidates for consolidation or migration to a cloud environment. The second product family we have today is Zeus, which is our virtual application delivery controller, built for the ground up for these virtual and cloud environments, and that's going to increase reliability, availability, and scalability. It's great for these cloud environments and new application projects and just routing traffic and managing the scale and giving some really advanced application intelligence in how do we deliver it. The third piece is, again, our Steelhead WAN optimization. This is probably what Riverbed is best known for. We have over 50% market share today and are shown as a leader by almost every major industry analyst out there. And this really helps the speed up of those applications or data transfer for backup or replication, helps reduce the bandwidth requirements, and is a good way if we move our resources, again, further apart, to put them in the right place for cost or management. How do we do it without impacting performance? Whitewater is a cloud storage accelerator. It's sort of a specific use case around backup and recovery to public cloud storage, but a very important one, reducing costs and helping very easily integrate cloud storage to the environment. And Aptimize is the last piece, again, a recent acquisition, but looking specifically at the web content and optimizing that and speeding up web apps, public websites, and SharePoint environments. So a pretty broad range of tools here, and all of them link together very tightly in these cloud environments to look at all the root causes of performance problems and management of performance in these cloud environments. So if we move forward one more slide, what I want to show you is Riverbed has a ton of customers out there doing this today. We're not a brand new startup trying to get our first customer. We actually have over 15,000 customers. And it says customer results A to Z. That's a little joke. I didn't have to go beyond the letter A before I found examples showing all the different types of problems we've helped in adopting cloud and addressing performance. From Oricon, who discovered their assets and optimized the networks to migrate more quickly to a cloud environment. From Alec Matkins, that overcame arbitrary distance constraints and got better flexibility. To Alabar Group, who got better application performance, any distance in their environment. To Allied Capital, optimizing their networks, better efficiency, and more collaboration all the way out to the end users. AAR, a law firm that transformed their data protection and DR capabilities, able to do more on the existing network as they're consolidating their resources. And AirSpring, that got a very efficient monitoring and troubleshooting process, being able to maintain performance through everything. So tons of examples, lots of customers out there doing this today with Riverbed is really a key enabler for them to be able to really capitalize on all the opportunities that public and private and hybrid clouds offer. So just closing thought for you on the last slide here, why choose Riverbed for cloud? I think we touched on many of these points, but again, the most comprehensive range of product offerings for cloud performance on the market today. Very unique application awareness is going to give you the best possible performance, that we go deeper. We don't treat it one size fits all, because there are very big differences in types of data and applications and protocols. The fact that we're already the industry leader in optimizing network connectivity is shown with our Steelhead product family, and that we're not doing this alone. We're a trusted provider with very strategic partnerships, whether you're talking about systems integrators and service providers, or whether you're looking at other vendors that are going to help guide you along this path, and including other technology manufacturers as well. So Riverbed's really well positioned to help customers capitalize, again, on all those opportunities that cloud presents, and we do that by really improving the performance for it. So with that, I'm going to say thanks for giving us the chance to talk and see if you had any questions.
Well, sure. Thanks for that, Nick. I guess, I'm curious. You got a pretty broad set of offerings there, and it really came across to me when you showed your letter A customers, right? So even a law firm, I mean, how did you think to even call on a law firm? Did they just come to you and say, "Look, we've got a performance issue"?
Yeah, the nice thing about what we do is the problems we solve are applicable to all verticals. They're applicable to customers of all sizes, whether you're a small and medium business or a global 2000 enterprise or a government of any size. The problems we solve are so common in terms of how do we address the performance issue. In that particular case you referred to, AAR, they came to us because they had deployed a lot of new storage. They were trying to set up and consolidate new systems, and what they discovered was they actually couldn't replicate between two locations. Even though the distance wasn't huge, the volume of data they were trying to protect in their private environment had really outgrown the capacity of their network. So they're told they needed to do a massive upgrade of their network, about 6 times more capacity than they currently had. But by deploying Riverbed technologies in there, we were able to streamline that operation, and not only did they have enough space on the existing network, they had room to grow for the future.
So sure, I mean, that's the alternative, right? Is to throw a bunch of hardware at it, a problem like this, and networks are extremely expensive, right? So I would think you could show a tremendous return on investment versus the other solution, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the popularity of virtual environments and cloud environments has a lot to do with the promise of cost savings, getting economies of scale, outsourcing administration of these environments. But to realize that, you do need to come back to how do we get the accessibility? How are we going to manage performance in these environments? What does our network connectivity look like? And that Riverbed can help with all those issues is a big part of realizing the true cost savings, not just shifting the burden from one area to another. And you're right to point out the ROI as well. We've had IDC survey quite a few Riverbed customers, and they've come back and found out on average Riverbed has a payback period of under 7 months and an ROI of 450+% over a 3-year time period from real world results.
So I'm curious, Nick, is it how the sales process works? Is it more like a consulting to begin it? Look at what they've got and then propose a solution?
Riverbed is really a global company with a wide range of channels by which customers can engage us. The simplest is to visit our riverbed.com website and just say, have someone contact me. But we work with a wide range of vendors and have our own professional services as well to help customers make sense of the opportunities and pitfalls out there. And again, systems integrators, service providers, value-add resellers, all of them have put together practices around cloud computing, and where Riverbed fits in that is a key part of solving the performance challenges.
So Nick, kind of a wrap-up question here. As you talk to customers, are they already sold on the idea of cloud and they just need to know how to best implement it? Or are you still selling cloud to them as a concept?
Well, Riverbed's really an enabler. We see the market moving in this direction, and we see a couple of things holding it back. And performance is one of the challenges that is often cited as a barrier to whole-scale adoption of cloud environments. But if you look at the forecast numbers for growth by various analysts, you can see it growing public and private environments from $40 billion this year to potentially $240 billion at the end of this decade. You just see so much rapid growth here, and it's just critical that customers are enabled to adopt the environment they want to have for the right reasons, and they aren't constrained by issues of performance related to distance or connectivity, and Riverbed really helps solve all those challenges, whether you're talking about adopting cloud applications, cloud compute power, cloud platforms, or cloud storage. Riverbed just helps them along that path.
Well, terrific. Well, Nick Rouda from Riverbed, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, folks, that's it for the Rich Report. Stay tuned for more news and information on high-performance computing.